University and at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. Welcome, Dr. Navon. Good to have you with us. Firstly, tell us how this story gives us a glimpse into the once very prosperous Jewish community of Baghdad and how they were completely disenfranchised of everything they owned.
Well, first of all, not only of Baghdad, of Iraq in general, there was also a very wealthy community in Basra in the south, but a very large community that was basically expelled without its property, not only in Iraq, by the way, but many other Arab countries such as Egypt and also Libya and Syria. Altogether, nearly 900,000 Jews were expelled from the Arab and Muslim world following Israel's independence. In Iraq, they were already very much mistreated. They were the victim of a pogrom in 1941 during the war. And basically
were many years before Israel claimed independence.
Even before Israel's very existence, right? And so this community was ripped of its properties, and very wealthy Jews, their houses, their property was stolen basically by the government. So it's about time to repair this historical injustice. And as you know, in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the Arabs of former British Palestine claim property of buildings that are now in Israel and were theirs, but it's what about the Jews of the Arab world that also lost their properties? This also has to be discussed, and this, I think, is a good opportunity to put this issue on the table.
Right, absolutely. The grandfather of Mr. Kazam, Philippe Kazam, who's bringing this case against the French government, these are two brothers. They were very wealthy. They had a beautiful home in Baghdad, and essentially when they were stripped of their rights, the French government said, OK, we'll stop paying rent to the rightful owners and we'll just bung some money at the then Iraqi government.
So we see here double standards because the French government, for example, when during the war Jews were stripped of their property in France under the German Nazi occupation, there has been very often reparation, and they really understand and consider that Jews whose property was stolen in France during the war have to recover the property. But for some reason, when it comes to Jews outside of France, in that case in Iraq, and when the French government has been using this private property as an embassy in Iraq, they seem to apply a completely different standard. So I very much hope that this court case will be pursued by this family and that this will bring justice not only to this specific family, but also to many other, to hundreds of thousands of other Jews who were expelled from Iraq and the Arab world.
What are his chances of success, would you say?
Look, obviously, this is very much a lawsuit that is going to have a lot of media coverage. The French government is going to use the best lawyers to try and say that they were acting in good faith. But at the end of the day, I think there are actually good chances, first of all, to bring the attention of the world public opinion about this issue. And that in itself is very important. I obviously wish this family to recover its rent retroactively, but I think mostly if this lawsuit can bring to the world's attention the fate and the fact that all these Jews were denied their property, their property was stolen, I think if this can be brought to the attention of public opinion, this in and by itself would be an achievement.
Because largely Jews who were expelled and disenfranchised in the Arab countries, they haven't sought reparations, have they, historically?
Most of them haven't, and they should. In fact, I think it was also ideologically for Israel in the early years. Israel did not want to consider those Jews refugees because they say, by being Israeli now, by coming back to the Jewish homeland, they're no longer refugees. So I think ideologically and historically, Israel had a problem considering those Jews refugees. But at the end of the day, they were expelled and they were disenfranchised and the property was stolen. So I think it's about time, after all these years, to finally recognize that.